Hey everybody, welcome to Proofs and Goofs. It's the show where we do a little math and sing a little song. This week's episode, machine learning. I hope you have a good time and learn something new. Machine learning. What a crazy, complicated, magical technology. The math behind that stuff's gotta be so unbelievably complex, right? Have you ever tumbled down a hill? Then you already understand machine learning. And in this video, we're gonna explain why. Let's start by explaining the goal of machine learning. The goal of machine learning is to learn the parameters of a function. This is a function. It has three pieces: an input, which we refer to as x, parameters, m and b, and an output, y. When we think about functions in a classical sense, we usually assume that we know the parameters m and b, and that the output y is what we are trying to figure out. For example, if m was equal to 2, and b was equal to 5, then we could figure out the output y for any input x. If x was equal to 1, then y would be equal to 2 times 1 plus 5, 7. If x was equal to 2, the output y would be equal to 2 times 2 plus 5, which is 9. If x was equal to 3, we could figure out that y was equal to 2 times 3 plus 5, which is 11. In machine learning, we take the opposite perspective. Rather than knowing the parameters and computing the output, in the setting of machine learning, we instead hope to know the input and output and compute the parameters. Say we are given that when x equals 1, y equals 7. When x equals 2, y equals 9, and when x equals 3, y equals 11. The goal of learning is to figure out from these input and output what are the values of m and b, the parameters that get the job done. In this case, the values of m equals 2 and b equals 5 accurately map these inputs to these outputs. All of machine learning goes just like this. Maybe we want to train an AI to identify images of cats. We have a bunch of input-output pairs. The inputs are photos. The outputs are labels, cat or not cat. Our goal is to find parameters that map images to the correct labels. Once we've found these parameters, we have an AI. What that AI can do is, when a new image of a cat comes along, the parameters that we've already figured out will help us determine whether this new image is a cat or not a cat. For this function y equals mx plus b that we introduced the problem of learning with, we had two parameters, m and b. For cat identification, we're going to need a lot more than just two parameters, but the core idea is the same. Know the input-output, compute the parameters. How do we compute these parameters? Tumbling. Let's start with our example of y equals mx plus b. We know there's these perfect parameters, m equals 2 and b equals 5. Every x gets mapped to its corresponding y exactly. Not all parameters are perfect, though. If we instead considered the parameters m equals 1 and b equals 3, we would map the inputs x equals 1, 2, 3 to the values 4, 5, 6. Which are off from the desired outputs of 7, 9, and 11. We can evaluate our parameters m equals 1 and b equals 3 based on how far off the outputs that we computed were from the desired outputs. We call this the loss of the parameters. There are many different types of loss, but let's start with a very simple type called L1 loss. We just look at the difference between the computed output and the desired output. For example, In this case, we computed an output of 4 for x equals 1 when the desired output was 7, which is off by 3. 5 and 9 are off by 4. 6 and 11 are off by 5. So the total L1 loss of the parameters m equals 1 and b equals 3 is 12. It could be better. For m equals 2, b equals 5, we get a loss of 0. It could also be much worse, though. If we considered crazy parameters like m equals -2 and b equals -13, we would incur a loss of 78. Let's graph this loss. Let's take a two-dimensional plane representing all possible MB pairs. For each MB, we compute the loss of those parameters and graph a point floating over the plane at a height corresponding to this loss. If we do this for all of the MB pairs, we're going to get something that looks like this valley. The lowest point in the valley will be at m equals 2, b equals 5. These are the parameters with lowest loss. The goal of all of machine learning is to take some sort of valley like this and find the lowest point. Find the parameters that minimize the loss. When it's the middle of the day and you find yourself in a valley, it's very easy to find the base of that valley. You simply look around, identify the low point, and walk there. When it's nighttime, however, it's not so simple. Let's say it's a new moon, it's pitch black outside. You can't see the valley as a whole, but all you can feel is beneath your feet what direction the hill goes down. The best you can do to hope for finding the base of the valley is to simply take a step in the direction that you feel the slope declining. This is the process of finding a base of a valley using an algorithm known as gradient descent. All that is needed to run gradient descent is to be able to compute the derivative in m and b relative to this loss function. That quantity corresponds to what direction is downhill from where I'm currently standing. As long as we are able to compute these derivatives, we're able to find the base of a valley by tumbling. Now that you understand machine learning, it's time to sing a song.
Sometimes you're flying high, and other times you stumble. Down, 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 down that hill, you really take a tumble. When you're hitting rock bottom, please know it's not a fumble, because you just did machine learning. By simply falling down a hill, you rediscovered machine learning. Yeah, it might hurt still, but know the world's still turning. So let yourself forgive and give yourself some patience. That's what learning is. It's just descending gradients. By simply falling down a hill, you've rediscovered machine learning. Yeah, it might hurt still, but know the world's still turning. Let yourself forgive and give yourself some patience. That's what learning is. It's just descending gradients. Thanks for watching.